now? Are they both the same, Molly?
They should be, are they not?
Okay, should be. This is just,
Oh, no, they are. Are you talking about the strategic plan stuff?
yeah, no, you're good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're good?
Yeah, we're live.
We are.
Whenever you're ready.
I think so.
We're gonna start the board meeting, correct?
No,
Not
we're
yet.
just workshop.
Okay,
We'll just be
cool.
live and we're good to
You
go.
got it.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for allowing us this opportunity to be here this afternoon with you. What we're going to cover today is the work that you did back at the last work session, where you developed the vision, mission, core values, and you identified the goals for the district. I then came back later and worked with Superintendent Pierce and her leadership team and putting together the action plans, the strategies, the key performance indicators, the evaluation design, timeline, and then whoever she's going to designate the work of each of the action plans. That's what you'll find on your template. Okay. We'll also be covering the guardrails, and that's part of your plan as well. So Ms. Ortiz will be covering that portion of the strategic plan with you. You call up the strategic plan. You have a hard copy of the strategic plan.
Yes, sir.
And for me, this was printed front to back. And you'll find the vision, mission, core values, and the goals on the second page.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the vision that you developed the last time we worked in the work session. And I believe we captured it in the way that you developed it. So are there any questions on the vision, mission, or the core values?
My only question is, maybe a grammar thing, but integrity, confidence, should it say critical thinking rather than critical thinker? Because it's an action.
Yeah.
We captured it in the way that it stated. Yeah, if you wish to change it, now would be the time to do it.
I'm fine with that.
You okay with that?
Yes.
So we'll change that.
We're going to use it for what?
Yeah.
5 years?
3 years for
3
sure.
Yeah.
So we'll make that change.
Thank you.
Nice. One point, Mr.
If those years of doing the newspaper.
So your math goal reads that by 2029, Dexter Consolidated Schools will increase mathematics from 60% to 31% over the 3-year period. So incrementally, you get to that 31%. And then it's measured by the state assessment. Hopefully the state will continue to use the same assessment. They compare apples to apples. But we'll see. There's a new administration coming on in January. And there's a tendency to change instruments whenever there's a new governor that comes in. Hopefully not. On the literacy side, you're doing relatively well on literacy. That tells me that you're implementing the state initiatives with integrity. So you're going 35% or with Fidelity, I'm sorry. 35% is what you currently have, I believe, as your baseline. And you're proposing that you'll go to the 60th percentile by 2029. And then attendance is your third goal. And that's to increase attendance from 77.8% to 85%, as measured by the state reporting system. So those are your goals. Any question on your goals?
I think, Nancy, I don't remember when you've been here or not, but the reason that it doesn't say on there, by 2029, that's fall of 2029, because that's when they give us Vista scores.
Okay,
And since that is what is presented to community, we thought that was the best, like level playing field. That way we're not saying, oh, this number is because we're using our interim assessment versus the long-term assessment. So that way it's exactly what the community is also going to see on Vistas.
that makes a lot of sense.
So the process that we followed and put it together, yes, sorry.
No, it's fine. Just looking at those goals, I like them and I don't want to change those. However, I think you guys as a staff have done a ton of work this summer to grow and get better. And so kind of looking at that mission, I'm going to pull a Nancy real quick. I feel kind of technical with the language and this can be shot down. I'm not opposed. But on the mission, right, it talks about where we equip every student for tomorrow's opportunity. I fully 100% agree with that. But I also think you guys have equipped teachers a ton this summer. And the only way to get students to these goals is by also equipping the teachers. So I don't know if we want to revise that language to change, relevant learning equips every student to like every person or every person within the district, just because I think the only way to hit these goals is to also equip teachers as well as students. And you guys have done so much work to get better that I don't want to lose sight of that.
That I started reading, that's what it says, is that we won't change student achievement until the adults change.
Okay. So you see that in there, that it's also focusing on teachers?
I think so. I mean,
Okay, cool.
I know that
I think just the nurture a school community.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm good with that. I just don't want to lose. And I kind of stole that from grants. I saw theirs recently and they shifted from students to like students and teachers. And I really liked that because like they're forcing their teachers to grow with their students. I was like, oh, that's makes sense. So we don't have to change it. I just wanted to bring that up as like, hey, do we want to?
I mean, that sounds good. I mean, this is what we're gonna be working with the next 3 years. I don't know. You guys can come up with a good word for that or.
Yeah, I think she's right in that it is kind of the school community part.
Yeah, because it's just, I mean, Dexter schools will nurture a school community focused on continuous improvement where
Yeah.
rigorous and relevant learning equips every student for tomorrow's opportunities. So all of that we're doing, the learning for all
Perfect. Is in that first part.
is in the first part.
Yep.
But whenever you only look at the second part,
Someone's student.
we're equipping the students for tomorrow's opportunities.
Perfect.
I mean,
Okay.
if I'm equipping teachers for tomorrow's opportunities, we're gonna have to rehire. That's,
Hey, unless we're the choice place of employment, right? Which we are going to. We are. Okay, no, I'm good with that. I just kind of wanted to call that out. We're good.
but maybe that's a focus, but that is when we ask questions, are we also utilizing it to equip teachers, right?
Yeah,
As we
call out. Yeah, fair.
judge things against
Perfect.
the mission, does it meet the mission of?
So the process we followed in putting together the action plans, they really need to be Dexter's action plans, not mine or Ms. Ortiz's action plans. So we worked with the team at developing their action plans, the strategies to address the action plans, the key performance indicators, how are we going to assess and measure the action plans put in place, and then the timeline and responsible parties. So I'm going to defer to Superintendent Pierce to talk about the action plans and how they were developed and how they intend to use those action plans to address each of the 3 goals that you've identified. Thanks, Pierce.
So on reading and math alike, we decided that we would mirror each of those in terms of what we were doing because we saw a need in both of those areas. With the goal being to increase proficiency for reading and for math. We saw a need for the tier 1 instruction and intervention systems alike to be strengthened. So we're going to implement curriculum. So this year was math adoption. We adopted them, we brought them before the board. High school still has to adopt high school math curriculum. And then this next school year will be reading curriculum. So that will also help us choose reading curriculum and ensure that teachers are utilizing that curriculum, right? We're spending a lot of money on that. And so ensuring that, administrators are ensuring that teachers are utilizing that curriculum. Provide instructional practices, common formative assessments. So with that curriculum, typically there are formative assessments that are given. And that way we can look at grade levels and how they're performing before we get to the end of year assessment and really look at the data in shorter chunks versus an all year analysis. So this goal for both strengthen tier 1 mathematics and strengthen tier 1 reading instruction, they're going to be annually through October of 2029. And then we're also going to review quarterly progress reviews. And I think there's a little bit of everything going on here. We wrote quarterly progress reviews. However, we typically do this on a BOI, MOI, EOI. That's when we give those assessments. So versus the quarterly progress reviews, triannually maybe is what we need to write that in there. You have received a copy of the board calendar that I brought forward last month. And you will notice that I have added at the bottom strategic plan. I'm also going to do a / student outcomes after hearing that today. And that is the piece that we're going to focus on at that monthly agenda item is our student outcomes based upon that information. So you'll know ahead of time what piece of data is going to come to you from principals or from district administrators to go back to the strategic plan in its own. The other thing that we have for both reading and math is building students' confidence in those areas. And so with that, we've created the implementation of math goal setting conferences. And that looks very different at a kindergarten level versus a 12th grade level. But through PLC, we are going to help students create goals for themselves. After talking to students at the high school level about SAT scores, really they don't understand their score and the meaning and the score and how it reflects to college readiness. With the staff, Mr. Davalos and Ms. Miles were able to be there, Ms. Batista, on the back to school meeting. I had students, one from every grade level, and we put graduation gowns on each of them. And then we utilized them to show teachers what it looks like if our kids wanted to go to ENMU, how many of our senior class, what percentage of them would actually make it based upon their SAT score, all the way to Harvard, how many kids we would have that could possibly make it based upon SAT. And I think those things are what kids need to see, right? We have kids who are capable, but the understanding of that score and setting goals based upon that score and where they want to go to school is helpful.
Right.
But it looks very different at the elementary school level as well. And so that's, teachers sitting down. I know that elementary school teachers right now, some of them already do this at parent-teacher conference. You sit with your kid and they, bubbled in a graph of here's where I want to be. But having that common language across K-12 is the goal, as well as providing students the the ability to focus back on that information and feel pride that they have accomplished that goal and not necessarily a proficiency goal. Because not all of them may be proficient tomorrow, but they could all grow based upon those numbers. Questions on the reading or the math goal?
Nope.
Literacy, I should call it.
How aggressive, I mean, that's pretty aggressive. Is that typically as aggressive as most schools get, which is try to double those numbers? Or close to the math is, but.
So I also feel that if you don't set an aggressive goal, then we just settle for
Yeah.
creating a goal.
Mhm.
I mean, we created these in there. I think we will know a lot more come September when we have that new data, right? The 16% and the 35% is actually technically 2 years ago. So in September, we will get last school year's data.
Okay.
So based upon that information, that's a lot sooner, and we have created a lot of processes in that time that I think we will see some growth in some areas. We also will probably see some weaknesses on things we need to do differently because now we have multiple years that we're analyzing and not just 1 year of information. I don't think the literacy goal is out of question.
Okay.
It is high. Might we not get there in 3 years? We definitely might not, but I would much rather us get to 59% and not make it to 60%, but we set our goal that high versus you set it at 40% and us meet 40%.
Yes.
So
Sounds good.
Remind me what data will we be using to figure this out?
So in the interim, you'll get interim assessment data. We will get even test scores. High school only gives SAT. So we have purchased interim assessment that we can give to students that commonly aligns with the language of SAT. So hopefully even just giving kids the extra ability to go through that multiple times. iStation is given at the K2 level, also called the MIRA, is in the ELA world for iStation. iMASA and NMASA is for grades 3 through 8. So we're hoping that we can not only give you that information,
Right.
but also access scores. We give students KITE and DLM. What else are we missing? We just talked about them all today. Avant is for our biliteracy seal students. So you'll notice through all of, I didn't just focus on one set of data to provide, but we are going to provide elementary, middle, and high school 3 times a year. And I'm going to allow the administrators of those buildings to present because they're very, very different. K2 is specific. It has its own specificities. And then our high school kiddos, they now will have something very different. And so hopefully if we track that data, we can also then correlate it with SAT in general. It's going to be a lot, but I think the more we give you guys and the more we provide to even the community of like, here's all the things your students are doing, here's where we're going as a whole.
Yes.
We're going to see changes.
Yes. So then you had mentioned, right, that you guys purchased some SAT things to be able to match the literacy that they're using. So that's a good lag measure. What lead measures do we have? So like, what are the teachers getting, or is there any stuff that they can start implementing in class? So it's not just seen on the thing that they're using.
So I'm glad you asked that because we've already gone, Miss Miller actually, for her PDP, that's part of their high school PDP measure is that you will implement literacy and mathematics SAT style questions in all classrooms. And so that is also happening
Awesome.
from that measure.
Sweet.
So
At what frequency, Miss Miller?
Weekly is what we're asking. So
Cool.
math and science teachers, math, science and CTE teachers, we're
Yes.
asking them to implement one math style question per week. And then
Yes.
within PLCs, they're talking about the data and breaking down how are we implementing this. And then our social studies and reading teachers literacy style.
I love that. Okay, thank you. That's perfect. Great answer.
But I think with that, she already has individuals, I mean, I've seen it, we've been in school 1 week, who've utilized both, right?
Right.
There's so much technology that's available to us
Right.
now, that teachers are able to, I teach X, and I need a SAT style question on Y or Z, and they can create that for kids where it used to take them creating all of that information.
Right.
So within week 1, I saw teachers already utilizing that. By just the fact of setting that expectation for staff of like, we can't only have it on our reading and our math teachers.
Right.
Everybody has to share in that goal.
Yeah. No, I agree. And heck, I wouldn't even be opposed if history and English and those people had to put in math, right? Because you get creative, you find a way.
Well, so with where we are, we have to start somewhere, and it
Yes.
can't always be everything today, because that
Correct.
is our natural
Correct.
reaction to everything is, okay, we're gonna do
There's more.
all of this tomorrow, but if we ask a teacher, I need you to do one problem.
Right.
It's very similar with our Dexter Edge initiative. We have, given the expectation, please take 3 to 5 minutes this week and describe to these kids whatever the skill is.
Mhm.
When you form it like that, everybody is usually capable of giving
Yes.
3 to 5 minutes. And we have seen already in 1 week, several people doing that with students or correcting, hey, no, we do it this way. This is the way we grow and we get better. And so
Love that.
I think we start small because we always want to do everything all at one time. And when we see that progress, teachers are going to take that partially on themselves, but then administrators also will start adding to it, right? Like, hey, everybody did this all semester. Next semester, let's do 3 a week.
For sure. Yeah, no, I like it. That's a great answer. Yeah. Good job. I like it.
Created.
Well, we know that success in reading affects all the other
Yes.
subjects, even math.
It does. And I think even before we talk about that, we've been talking heavily about our own speech, people being in-house now. Speech is the first form of literacy. Whenever you have the language piece, then all of a sudden literacy becomes easier. And so that change, I think we're going to see some growth come off of that too. Will we ever be able to pinpoint that that's the reason that it's happened? Maybe not. But our kids are getting services in a way that are going to help us in the literacy realm as well too. So excited about that piece. So we also have the ensure equitable access to high quality math instruction and support across all schools and student groups. So we have this data, and I think individually in silos, we've done a good job of looking at that information, but we are now sharing more information out to all groups, providing that information to all our teachers, as well as, our custodians, our cafeteria, trying to give them as well to help build that culture of excellence. So just ensuring that, our review math achievement intervention placement and take that information and put it back with the information, because sometimes a kid gets into intervention, but we never go back and look at the data again.
Mm-hmm.
And so continually looking at that, but providing it across the district and not just in its silos, as well as bring it to the board. And now that we have that opportunity, hopefully parents will also watch and get that information, because it is important.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of waiting for a one-time a year report card essentially for us.
Yep.
And then we have our attendance measure. One worry with attendance measure is that from this year that we got this 77.8% of data was the year that middle school was 44% in attendance and high school was greater than 99% attendance.
Mm.
So come September, I also feel like we'll have a better idea of, I still think 85% is a good measure.
Yes.
However, if it comes out that we're 85% in attendance, we need to bump that. We need to do better.
For sure.
So we're gonna increase the student attendance through early identification, family engagement, and consistent attendance supports. I'm gonna let you read the rest of this, but kind of tell you what we have done. So Ms. Otero was social worker in the past. We only need one social worker to meet the needs of the district. However, we have a big need for attendance and somebody to keep track of our students' attendance. And not only that, but also do some support for those families to ensure that we can get kids here. So she is going to do a big majority of this load, a lot of it, and keep our principals up to date with attendance. Currently, our board policy is also out of date in terms of attendance to meet the state requirements. And so you'll be seeing that in the next few months as we work towards to meet that. Right now, we say if you're 3, 5, or 7 day, we send a letter home. The actual way that should be written is it should be a percentage, right? So that way, if it's only 50% of the school year and you're missing 50%, we don't wait till it's too late. We intervene sooner rather than later. So looking at this in a proactive way versus always a reactive way. When we see that a kid has missed 3 days in a row, call parents, figure out how we can help support them in ways earlier versus later.
Isn't it our policy that parents should call when their kids are gonna be out? I know we can't make them, but.
Yes,
Is that?
it is. But just because they call,
Yeah, I know.
we have some that will call and still be absent over 20 days a year, but they called every time. We need to also do a good job of ensuring that we're really putting that message of what it does to students for every day that they miss and what they're missing. And so our hope is creating a group with the principal and Ms. Otero, and then also the family and the schools, that we can create best ways to get kids here and to get them to want to be here every day. And then we have create district-wide culture of belonging, safety, and student connection to improve attendance. So previously, we last year gave Panorama survey. I provided some of that data through the meetings because that was kind of my own personal goal, is for us to create culture and belonging with students. And we saw some growth and we saw some decline. I think that's still an area where we need to ensure that we're focusing on, and that comes back to attendance. When kids feel like they belong and they want to be here and it's purposeful, then they show up to school. But the same thing for parents. Whenever they know that it's purposeful, they'll make their kids come to school. So we're going to continue to use that measure and keep pushing for safety and student connection. Questions?
No, man, you're doing great.
Okay. So before I turn it back to them for the guardrail piece, these two are from me. This last month had come out, but I made some adjustments on student teacher presentations. So now after this month, there should be a student or teacher presentation every month. And then also what we're going to go over for student outcomes and strategic plan. So we do have an area on the board agenda to approve this, just so that way we're all on the same page of, okay, here's where we're going. This is the information that's being presented. And then this also just tells you some things like when events are happening as we put that through there. This is the strategic plan. With the addition in the middle, you'll see that I have put where we can track the base. We have the baseline, but we can track the yearly growth. And then also at the end is a calendar of the things that we'll go over every month as well in a different form. On to guardrails.
On the guardrails. Mr. Ortiz will go through the guardrails with you. These are the guardrails that you identified a while to get through the 4 guardrails you identified in the district, or for yourselves, actually. So Ms. Ortiz, these are the ones that you identified. She has developed a matrix that's also included in your packet that I think is invaluable in terms of how you're going to track the guardrails.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to be here this evening. I'm excited to be with you and excited at the progress that you're making and have already made in the district. I just want to go over the big picture, just to recap where we're at and the work that you've done. On your tables, I have provided you a one-page sheet that lists the SOFG, the Student Outcome Focused Governance 5 steps. I think it's the top sheet on the, just take a look at that. So this board has already looked at it and is focusing on the mantra student outcomes until adult behaviors change. And you guys are working on that, and that is this mantra for Great on Their Behalf document that we're facing this wonderful process and this wonderful work on. The second step deals with what you've already done, clarifying the priorities, the development of the strategic plan, the development of the board goals, which Mr. Travis went through, and then the development of the board guardrails, which you did at the last work session, I think, for the board members were here at that time, and were able to help us get to that point. And based on that work, I developed a matrix, and the matrix is the document that is found on the last 2 pages of the strategic plan. The last of the strategic plan, Mr. Travis just went through. And what you'll see on there, and they look like this, last 2 pages of strategic plan. And what you'll see on there is, I'm walking there, aren't you? What you'll see on there is the first column, the 4 guardrails that you developed show the work that your board did and the language that your board completed at the end of the day. I think administrative staff was here also to help with the sheets on the walls, work with the language, and that's what you developed. I went back and I looked at those guardrails and had it redrafted to more mirror the Great on Their Behalf language. And so the second column will show you your original guardrail, but redrafted. Now, it's not a better version. It's not a correct version. It's just a different version. And I'm presenting that to see if the second column on any of the guardrails is a better fit for you. It's just a suggestion for you to look at. Now, the important piece to this, I believe, is the 3rd column and the 4th column, which, and I'm not going to read it, but it lists the board monitoring guidance. It lists for you those things that you can look at when you're looking at the monitoring reports and looking at the data that will clarify for you that the superintendent has been working with ensuring that the guardrails are being implemented. That is just useful information that will help you monitor what is happening. And the 4th column, the possible evidence sources, could be even what the superintendent is saying, look, I did this element, looked at this guardrail, and this is a source, and you will definitely that your guardrails that have been developed by you based on what the community has provided for you are being adhered to. So this is just an interest information to help the board to determine what to be looking for, what it should look like, and to help the superintendent make sure that they're giving you the information that you need to know that will provide the evidence and demonstrate that the guardrails are being addressed. Now, your work as board members, since you've already developed guardrails, is to make a decision as to which of those 4 guardrails, which language you want, and that decision will need to be an action item at your board meeting. And once you make that decision, the decided column or the decided guardrail will be put into your strategic plan. We'll pull out the one that's not relevant. And so that's something that you could have a conversation on tonight or at a future board meeting in terms of when you're ready to approve, and that's up to you. But when you go into the board meeting, you might want to have a general idea, or the superintendent might want to have a general idea of which guardrail language you would like to look at. Is that something superintendent board members would want to do this evening? Go through each of the 4 guardrails, or just look at them and decide we like this first column on the first one or the second column on the second one, and then move forward in that regard. You're not taking action, you're simply looking at which one should be put for a vote or for discussion at your next board meeting. How would you like to handle that? Yes.
How are you guys looking on time? For the 6 o'clock?
So sorry. President Davalos, we thought we had until 6.
Okay.
So,
Yes, you do.
yeah,
You
so
do.
we'll stop at that point, because I know you have to go right into your regular meeting.
Okay.
Well, hopefully we'll get done by that time.
Okay, so if we're looking like we're running short on time, we can definitely push this back so that we can look at them at home.
Exactly.
And we don't take any more of y'all's presentation as well. Yeah.
At your pleasure.
Thank you.
So you'll look at those later.
Yes,
Okay, the other piece I wanted to share with you, Jim, deals with, again, if you go back to that initial 5-step outline and it talks about monitoring progress, that's the next step. Once you have your strategic plan completed, you can see here, we'll add whatever the superintendent has given us to add to that. Once you determine which guardrails is going to be the guardrails that you're putting in the language in the strategic plan, we'll add that in there. Then the next step is to look at the monitoring calendar. Your superintendent already has provided you with a copy of one. I gave us just a few minutes ago. It looks great. It's a monitoring calendar for 1 year. Now, monitoring calendars need to span the life of the goal, so they should be for 3 years. So that's the only additional thing that might need to be looked at that. There's another sheet in there that I provided for the board members. Simply information in this information taken directly out of this document right here, right on their behalf. And it's kind of a cheat sheet for you to help you as you move forward to find the things quickly that you need. I'm not going to read through them, but I want to highlight one section.
Okay.
It talks about highly effective monitoring. It includes a phone. It talks about how monitoring can be beneficial. On the second page, it talks to you about characteristics of an effective monitoring calendar. And since your superintendent is giving you a monitoring calendar, you can take a look at that and there's 7 items on it. Take a look at those 7 items and see how they are addressed in the monitoring calendar. So these are good questions for you as board members to look at the calendar, ask yourself, and then as the board is working together with the superintendent to finalize the calendar, if all of these elements are covered and met, then you've got a good solid calendar. The next piece is to just talk about an effective monitoring report that comes after you've got your monitoring calendar. And that is the meat and the heart of the work that you will be doing. And it's going to be really hard and great work, but I think the results will be very beneficial to the students and to the district. And in that outline, it talks about the main pieces of the monitoring report. So the superintendent will be looking at that, making sure that those pieces are in there, and you as board members can verify that you're seeing what you need to see so that you're not wasting people's time looking at monitoring reports. The last piece to this I added for the board members is questions, and that is the key work of board members. There's a lot of questions you'll see the second to the last page. Effective questions to ask when you're looking at monitoring reports.
oh,
I think it's part of the stapled sheet. The last 2 pages, the effective questions. And those questions will help you if you are listening to the presentation of the monitoring report, and you'll look at these questions when you get the monitoring report in your packet, way ahead of the board meeting, so that you can even call the superintendent and ask her some of the questions before the meeting. You want to ask tactical questions of the superintendent at that time, so that you're not waiting to the board meeting to try to understand the data. You want to come to the board meeting to have already understood the data that's in the monitoring report, and some of these questions will help you get there. So ask all the tactical questions on the phone ahead of time. When you get to the board meeting, then you can start looking at asking the strategic questions against examples on that sheet for you to do that. And it will help the meeting go better. If you ask questions ahead of time, it will help the superintendent prepare and staff to be prepared to provide the answers that you need, because what you want is data, you want good, clean data, you want to understand.
Mhm.
And so these are instruments that can help you get there in terms of questions to ask. It even showed you some ineffective questions. I just noticed on addresses the monitoring calendar that you had. Again, the monitoring calendar along with the strategic plan, the goals and guardrails, monitoring calendar also need to be approved by the board. So it could be that you would approve all these items in one board meeting. It's up to you how you choose to do that. And then The other thing we asked, and I think we mentioned this before, is to have a permanent agenda item that talks about student outcomes. That is part of your board agenda at every meeting. And the goal in the student outcomes focused government and in the document grade on their behalf is to have at least 50% of your time, board time at board meetings spent on student outcomes. Now, don't get scared. A lot of districts are still working towards that. I mean, one district in northern New Mexico, the first time they did the monitoring report, we're at 34%. They did a great job. And I help as their coach to monitor that and listen to the meeting and gauge the percentage and help you figure out how that works. I will help you in that regard. I will be sending emails to the board president and the superintendent in terms of some of the board meetings that I monitor. So that's part of monitoring progress. Item D, the student outcome agenda item. We talked about the monitoring calendar that you already have a sample of it. Kudos to your superintendent because she's already given you a sample monitoring calendar of some districts. A little challenging to put that together, but she's done that. And then the monitoring reports is when she'll really sit down and share great data. That kind of is an overview of the 4 steps. The meat of this is look at those guardrails, make some decisions, get those approved with the goals and strategic plan and the monitoring calendar. And then I, as your coach, will work with you as we move forward. If there's any questions or training issues that you need, I will be available to provide support in that regard.
Sure.
Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So moving forward on your agenda. Next steps. So we'll take we didn't note many changes to what was presented here this evening, but we did capture the changes that you suggested. And then we'll send that document to Superintendent Pierce. And that will then be the document that you will need to approve at either your next board meeting or whenever you feel comfortable that you've adopted the guardrails that you want to move forward with. Could be the next meeting, and could be the meeting after that. It would help that if as soon as you can adopt the plan, the better it is for your leadership team because they can begin working on those action plans that they put together for you. And then if you do that, and your goal is to have it by the next board meeting, then the edits will be in place by the end of this week. I'll get those back to Superintendent Pierce, and you'll have a final draft that you can then review and adopt at your next board meeting. And then the future progress monitoring schedule. Mr. Keys has outlined what will be included in that monitoring schedule. She will get together with you, President Davalos, and the superintendent to finalize that. Any questions on any of the work that is yet to be done? No. So this, you all did a great job in the work session. It was a rather lengthy work session, and you gave up your time, and I think a lot of great work came out of that. You own, as I mentioned, you own the goals, you own the vision, mission, core values, and your leadership team owns the action plans. And the way you're going to hold your leadership team accountable is through the progress monitor. Mr. Keys will be helping you all through that process. So that's a 6-month process that she'll be working with you on. If it needs to be extended beyond that, we'll make allowances for that. Some of the districts that are in our 6-year study have gone through an entire year of progress monitoring support. Any questions of us?
Looks good. I mean, there's a lot going on, so as long as just, please stay on us Superintendent Pierce, hey, let's try to get this done by this one. We're great at getting stuff done in a timely manner as long as we know what we have to get done. Otherwise, everybody has busy lives. We all have so much going on, and so it's easy to overlook a deadline or something like that.
And that's why Ms. Ortiz is assigned as your coach. She'll be virtually observing your board meetings.
Okay.
And she'll make sure that she provides you with the feedback President Davalos
Okay.
after each of those board meetings. Again, to keep you focused on your strategic plan, it's a dynamic instrument and that you can make changes throughout the year.
Mhm.
But it's something that you have to pay attention to throughout the year as well.
Mhm.
Thank you. It's been a great opportunity for me to work with you. I'm still available, so if I'm needed for any reason, please don't hesitate to call. The other thing that I will mention is this isn't a 3-year plan, but with annual revision. So the goals will probably remain the same. It's my experience in the strat plan, the goals remain the same. What will change are your action plans. So as you meet your action plans and you have those embedded systemically, then you will begin working on other actions to address those goals. So it's dynamic from that sense. I would encourage you to look at the leadership team, to look at the action plans again sometime in the March, April timeframe for your second year of your plan. So those would be probably new action plans unless a particular action plan hasn't been fully addressed. But those changes need to occur prior probably to your budget cycle, so that you can account for that budgetarily if you need to provide revenue for the implementation of those actions. But I will be calling if you need for me to come in and work with you on the revisions.
Okay,
So just keep that in mind. Again, thank you and good luck in the implementation. We're here to help and support.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Travis, Mr. Ortiz. Thank you guys so much for your time.
My pleasure. If I just might add, the key piece right now is that monitoring calendar. We've got the year going. We're gonna have it 2 more years, work with the board to get that in place soon, because you're gonna start this school year. And that way the staff is gonna know exactly when those goals, because you see you're reviewing your goals annually, each of them, when the goals are gonna be reviewed and when the reports need to be done. And that calendar will help the staff know exactly who's supposed to be doing what and when, and there won't be any surprise. So that's key right now. And if you although your superintendent is really on it, she's done a great job on that monitoring calendar. If you would like, we can send you samples of it just instead of just recently done monitoring calendar, so that would be helpful. If not, let me know, superintendent.
I do, I guess, maybe have a question, because I did look at them, but it's also been a couple weeks ago, and I never even thought about the multi-year. Do they typically on those just have like what month the goals will be reviewed on the year 2 and 3? Because I feel like those are like, they're arbitrary right now.
In the future.
That's what I was, yeah.
That's a great question. I will send you a sample of the calendar that has done that, and you can see what they've done.
Yeah, because I don't think it needs to be as detailed as, I mean, we have a lot of information on this first, but even if it was on the last page of what that looks like.
I'll send you some samples that will hopefully help you. And the other thing, when I send correspondence, I send it to the board president, because that's who I'm here to help and coach, and the superintendent, and board presidents, Mr. President, superintendent, you're welcome to share, and probably should share any of that data with the other board members. I just will send it to you two, and you all share with the rest of the board, so that they know all the things that are needing to be done, what's going well, what's being done, and looking forward to it.
Just
Thank you.
so I'm saying this out loud, so I'll remember it, but when she does send that, that'd be a good place to, in the board reports, where you guys report, is that information to come out at that point. Because I think it will be interesting, right? We think we do a lot of student focus until somebody times us for how long we've provided that, and then
Data is good.
It will.
Thank you so much. My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Safe travels.
Safe travels.
I made a couple other notes. I'm gonna highlight these by goals, so that way they're easy to see, like when literacy is monthly, you know, what month, and then that way it's easy to see the actual goals versus guardrails. And we'll add a permanent agenda item focused on student outcomes, and that's where that versus calling it strategic plan, will be called student outcomes at the bottom. Even that's when that information will be given.
Yeah. That's fine. And I'm with you. I'm like, I don't know how to create those calendars for the next 2 years.
I mean, I
I'm
can say
like,
that
this
we're
is
gonna
fine.
do reading
We're
data
looking
in
right.
May, but does that really mean we're gonna look at?
Yeah, I feel like we almost need to use this year as a test run to see how that worked, where it worked best, and then you would modify from there.
Yeah,
But we'll see.
but we can always just say it and then have it out there
So,
in the universe.
And we can change it as we need to.
Absolutely.
yes. They had
There's a
mentioned
lot of
going,
work gone into this. Thank you.
Yeah, I sometimes wonder like what, but we've already started giving it to staff too. And back to school, I think it's just the more times we say it, the more times we put it out there. Principals have talked to their staff about, here's our goals for the next 3 years. What are we doing to, as our part for the school? So I'm excited because we know where we're going. Good roadmap.
they had mentioned going through this guardrail matrix. and
Yeah.
Choosing one, I mean, you have heard in there?
I think we should
can.
even just talk about them anyways.
Does everybody in
Well,
here
and
have a
it's-
copy, or can we put that back on so they can see what we're referring to?
I did provide them the 2 extra copies that I have.
So if I'm correct, if we're looking at instructional integrity, the first column is what we created.
Yes.
The second column, nope, I think this is the first column. That under the bold is what we created. In the second column is her AI draft,
version.
grader on their behalf. I don't know what the third column is.
It's all good.
We really only have to focus on the first two
First two?
and figure out which wording we want to
Yes.
adopt.
Okay. So just the one under Dexter guardrail drafted.
Yes.
Perfect. Thanks, Ms. Bob.
Superintendents, I guess we read them or.
Well, they're just basically restated with more words.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not that it,
Yeah, like she said, it's not better, it's not worse, it's just different.
I do like on the physical responsibility one,
Mm-hmm.
the added language, I think, for the ability to improve student outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
I like that addition, because it's not just like physical mismanagement, but it's also, making sure that the funds are going to improvement
Right.
of student.
Right.
I mean, while I like the simplicity of all the column ones, at the same time, it just provides a little bit broader definition in column 2.
Oh.
Yeah. It kind of in the sense of if you ever ran into a predicament, then column 2 just gives you a little bit easier way to define and move. Typical type for less words, but
You should go meet all those,
Yeah.
you go meet all those kids. They're coming out of esports.
Is that where they're coming? Awesome. Good for them. Glad they're here rather than doing something crazy outside. Yeah.
We invite them in to say hello.
Absolutely. Put them on the spot and say, hey,
Oh,
well, ask them if they know the Dexter Edge skill of the week.
Well, I
Yeah,
love,
yeah, yeah.
Really,
Fantastic.
I love that they had esports on the first day of school.
They're gonna wish they were quieter next time.
They're gonna always tiptoe by here. Make
Yeah.
sure they're not in there. Or we get pulled in.
They're probably like, no.
They're like, where are we going?
Come on, come on.
I think, I mean,
Oh,
What's up, guys? Come on in, all the way in, all the way in. You guys normally hide behind a screen. Now you get to be in front.
You don't have to sit or stay. We just wanted to say hi.
Yeah.
Clifton, tell us about the first week of school. How was it?
It was good. Honestly, can't complain. It was had some good teachers, had some fun.
How was culinary? All that you expected?
Yeah, it was even more. I loved it.
What did you make? What'd you do?
Eh, really, it's just been communicating, but I'm really looking forward to cooking.
Yes.
awesome.
Nice.
Awesome.
Can either of you tell me about the Dexter Edge Principal of the Week?
I unfortunately can't.
Oh, you don't remember. Okay.
Well, you're already exhibiting it because it's making eye contact.
Yes.
So when you look directly at a person and speak to them that way, is that easy enough to do?
Yeah, kind of.
Cool.
Doing good.
I got the last.
Oh,
There we
let
go.
these
Come on
guys
in.
know. Hey, come on in. Hey, they decided to use the option of phone a friend. So glad the friends answered their phone.
Come on, we got this.
Can either of you tell me about the Dexter Edge?
That this week for us it's about eye contact.
Yes.
For, making eye contact, and then also firm handshakes as well.
Nice.
Oh,
Yep,
can you
we're gonna work
can you
on that.
exhibit firm handshake? Yeah. I like it. There with the eye contact. I love that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I like it.
I love it too much.
Nice to meet you.
Nice.
Nice.
Hey, good job. Way to pick up the guys last minute. Dude,
Well,
that's awesome.
Nice to meet you.
I
Nice to meet you.
figured
Yes.
he was the
Yes,
right
sir.
one.
Nice to meet you. That is
Boy,
awesome.
yeah.
Good afternoon.
Wow.
Hey, you guys rocked it.
Yes, that looks great.
And so tell me
Great.
more about esports, right? Like, because I never did esports. I did just the actual sport.
Well,
Gunmetal.
esports is more so it's basically competitive gaming,
Yes.
and all we do is like stuff like Fortnite. We do Street Fighter,
Yes.
and we do Mario Kart, and we
Madden?
compete and Madden.
Like the old Madden or the newer?
Newer Madden.
Yeah.
And so too, but
They don't know the struggle.
we compete in our room
Yes.
during the season. But so it depends on what game you play. The Splatoon, it's team against team.
Yes.
It's what five people? Six to five players
Okay.
on each team. And then for Madden it's one on one.
So
Okay.
you can't play with two people on it. It's only
Yep.
one person against another person.
Got you.
I see.
How do you prep? How do you strategize for an upcoming competition?
For Madden, you can't really because you don't know what your opponent's playbook is until it's that day, or you just look at what their playbooks were before the game.
So like the game before, but they can also change it up on you. And because there's times where you'll look at like that player,
Yes.
and then his last game that he played with the Eagles with the 49ers offensive playbook.
Okay.
But then he could switch it up on you and play 49ers or like the Commanders with the Eagles playbook or something like that.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So then if you guys are playing Fortnite, are you just in there playing Fortnite or are you just like, oh, hey, we've got to learn how to do this better?
Fortnite, it's really easy to strategize.
Okay.
Because you have to find where a group of people are and just
If you're able to find a group of people, then you can strategize on how you're actually gonna like either attack them. So you're either gonna go in loud,
Yeah.
which is just straight firing
Yeah.
from far away, going in,
Blazing. Guns
blazing,
blazing,
going
yeah.
in,
you can hang back, or you can just straight up run in and just.
or you can go in quiet.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. But then we also we run everything.
I
in
think you can
flavors.
turn our zoom on.
We go through everything in flavors.
Okay.
And Flavors is it's a whole group that is a school organization